this again. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Land Bank Board of Directors meeting for February 10th, 2023. The first thing we'll do is we'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
All right, my name is Emily Kalchak, the Assistant Manager of the Pittsburgh Land Bank, and I will be calling the roll for today's meeting. Reverend Ricky Burgess.
Here.
Dr. Jamil Bey.
I'm here.
Councilman Daniel Lavelle. Councilman Bobby Wilson.
Here.
Director Steve Mazza. Director Wanda Wilson.
Here.
And Director Karen Breen.
Here.
We have quorum. I yield to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. That brings us to public comment. And I can't see them, so you'll have to, Emily, you have to help me. Are there people who are here to address the Board of Directors? I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, pardon me, Chairman. It does not look like we have any public commenters today.
Thank you very much. That goes to, we will now move to the agenda part of the meeting. First of all, I need a motion to approve the January 2022 minutes.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. Their report for approved. That brings us to our financial report. And that would be, first of all, I need a motion to approve, and then we'll have discussion. Hello,
Motion to approve the financial report.
need a second?
Second.
Discussion. Emily or Sally, you want to go through our financial report all?
Chairman Burgess, we had the financial report sent to board members on the shared drive. We do not have slides for it today.
Okay. If no conversation, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers,
Aye.
nay. Thank you very much. All right, so then we have an annual statement of financial interest. The board members have to complete that before or on May 1st, 2023, and send it to what, Sally or Emily?
Send a copy to our admin assistant, Karen Lampson, at klampson@ura.org. We've already received a number of SOFI forms from our board of directors. We'll be following up with you in the coming days, but thank you all so much. That is it.
All right, I need a motion to retain our current executive committee members. That will change as there's a conversation. They'll change perhaps in the future when we look to expand our board and diversify it with other government agencies as we move forward in the future. But as for now, we will stay the same. I need a motion to retain our current executive members.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. All right. Okay. Now the last thing for me is as we move forward, this is something I have actually been talking about for the last year. There are some community experts in land recycling and who are fans of the land bank and who have expertise. And I've been trying to figure out a way in which we can partner with them and gain their expertise. They can make recommendations to us so we can consider things in a more formal way. And so what I'm asking the board is to give me the authority to establish an advisory committee, an ad hoc committee. It's really a guidance. It's really an advisory committee on strategy about land recycling, on things we should be considering or things that we haven't considered. It will, in my mind, I will be on it. At least one other board member, maybe more, would be on it. I think it would be open to members if they want to participate. And I don't have a formal list of people in mind, but I do, and it'll be a small committee. I'm thinking 5 to 7 members that just have informal conversations to recommend policy and things to us. None of it would be all of it would have to come back to the board for its conference, for its deliberation and for its approval. And so it is simply an advisory group. And so I would, but I do think it should be something that the board understands that we're having and be open to receiving recommendations from it. And so I'll ask for a motion in a second, and then I'll have further discussion about what it is. And so in my mind, it's a really an advisory group on strategic planning for land recycling. I think that's the phrase I want to use for the committee. And so I need a motion and a second to form the committee.
So moved.
All right, need a second?
Second.
Conversation about it. If no conversation, all those in favor?
I have a question about how do you anticipate, so is this feedback or this advice from the advisory committee, it's just closed door to inform the board?
Yes, we're really to inform me and the staff, and then I would, anything that came out of it would come, and not me and whatever board members participate, it would come in terms of resolution and conversation with the board. They would not discuss anything that would be in any way policy that we had, that policy that was nothing they discussed. Everything they discussed would have to come back to the board for any formal action if we wanted to implement any policy change. It's really a conversation.
So I'm imagining that the purview of this advisory group would be to review issues, sort of their experiences with the challenges in the existing system and where they see where they've been bumping their heads.
Yes. And people, in my mind, these are people who have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years. They're not new to this. And they can tell us, like, for instance, all of us know that clearing title is a major problem in land recycling, right? We all know that. And I think these experts can give us a sense of what they've done has been effective, what they haven't once done is effective, what they hope the land bank can do. For an example, I know one of the things we're going to probably have to talk about is what is the most efficient way to clear as much title on property as possible so that the land can be moved out the door as quick as possible. And I'm absolutely sure, that conversation is one of the conversations that group will have.
Probably just as important, their pain points in doing this, where they've seen, right, okay.
Yes, but it's going to be open. It's not, I'm not going to have closed meetings in terms of the board members. I think board members can participate to the extent they want to, but I think it'll be more of a conversation and just learning from them, from their experience, because we have people in the community who have done this longer than almost any of us on the board. And we're not, and I just think it's time. I thought about this about a year ago, but because we had a transition in both the mayor and we're having transitions in the URA, I wanted to sort of wait until both those things were settled. The mayor's been in office a year, and now we have new leadership in the URA. I think it's the time now to kind of start thinking about, the challenges and how we can address the challenges in the quickest, most judicious way possible.
I have comment whenever.
Sure, Bobby.
Yeah, I think it'd be useful to, before we vote on this, to set out a scope of what this committee is going to undertake or give guidance to. So we can just be clear on what what are we calling this committee?
It's an advisory committee. My view of it, it's an advisory committee on strategic planning for land recycling. So I guess what I'd like to do is maybe have a compromise. If you let me form the committee, I will send you back a scope of to bring back a scope of what we're going to do, because I do think I need the members to also help me figure out the scope, if that makes some sense.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to understand what's the issue that we're trying to solve. Like, is it?
Oh yeah, cool, sure. So there are,
Yeah, what's the issue we're trying to solve? Then also, how will the committee be comparable? Like, will that be each individual will be voted on by the
no, if you give me
board to be?
no. So the process would be, if you allow me to do it, I'll name the members, right? It'll be a small group, 5 to 7 members, right? I'll share even before I appoint them, I kind of tell you what I'm thinking. If that process is, that's not an unusual process for me to say, well, these are kind of, to the board, this is kind of the people I'm thinking about. And for you guys to, informally say yes, no, maybe sort of. I do think that one of the problems that we're having is that there are community experts who are also doing land recycling, that there is no coordination with the land bank at this point. I think there are people lobbying other forms of government to be more helpful and for us to have a partnership that are lobbying them without our direct participation. I think this group will help us create better communication in the community of those people who are involved in land recycling, and at the same time, give us a direct pipeline, at least to some experts, in terms of what the external community thinks and is doing and thinks we should be doing about land recycling. So it's to create I could do this informally. I want to do it a little bit more formally, because I think it's important that information goes not just to me, but somehow has a process to go to the entire board.
That was,
Okay, I think that, so I'm comfortable with a committee. What I'm uncomfortable with is that we would leave the appointments up to one individual on the board.
So tell
Not
me,
that I don't like you, not that I don't like you, but I just think even if you did pick it, I think we should be transparent to the public on who's going to be on the board. I'm sorry, who's going to be on the committee prior to any meeting happening.
how about, can we split the baby? If you allow me to appoint them, I will give you the names I'll inform you of the appointment. I'll talk to you about it, and I'll inform you of who they are before the meeting occurs. Does that raise your comfort level?
I guess I'm unclear as to what the bylaws are, what the, I don't have the.
I had related to your question, Bobby. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have in front of me the board's charter on what's appropriate to do in this situation.
Typically, I don't have the bylaws in front of me, but having served on various boards, this sort of advisory board is really open to the board can create it whatever way it's feel comfortable. It can be appointed by me, it could be appointed by the whole board. Doesn't matter to me. I was doing it this way just out of quickness and being able to sit down and talk to them and kind of get you back a group of work. But we can do it more formally. I'm not opposed to that.
And that was
Actually,
my
like
question. Is related more to a point of procedure.
Yep.
Why would this need to be formalized? If there are people who have expertise who are willing to contribute and share what they've learned, why do we need to appoint a formal committee?
I'm actually trying to do what Bobby wants me to do on the front end, being very transparent about it, so that I'm not talking to them alone without your ability to participate. That makes sense. I mean, any of us could do this now by creating this kind of committee. That means there's a more formal process that you're aware of, that you can participate in. Right? I could do this tomorrow as council person, but then you would not have you wouldn't be able to just know. You wouldn't know I'm having it. In this role, I would tell you ahead of time what the meetings were and what's being discussed and invite you to participate. So it's really to try to create an open process is why I'm doing it this way. My intent.
I think it sounds great if there are people with expertise and they can offer that expertise and we can hear about it and get reports from it. And if it's ad hoc and they're not taking any action, I don't think it has to be super formal. So.
Yeah, that's my view. And my view was that that by doing it through the board, you would know that it existed. I would tell you when they're meeting, and they would give you, it would be a regular reporting process. So none of it would be, all of it would be open to the public at some point.
Yeah,
And
and I'm not opposed to
Since you're
to
bringing
the
this to
idea. I
the,
think it's a
you know,
great
your-
idea. And I said, it's more about, and I think Bobby had me thinking about this, or Councilman Wilson had me thinking the way he's framing his questions. What is it in our bylaws, our rules about, appointing committees? And is this the procedure? And that's what we said, I'm just unfamiliar with that. But I mean, I definitely think it's a good idea to do this.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I just want to be transparent on who's in the meeting for the public. So, since you brought this to you're right. I mean, you could have meetings and then have, but since you're making an official committee, how will that be? Will that be on the next agenda as to who met and what was discussed? Or what was the scope of what was discussed?
My thought process was sort of to do this, was to float to you at some point with your thinking. It's similar to what we did with the property review committee. We also did it with the communication committee, although those were subcommittees of the board. So we did this before. This is not the first time we've done these committees before. And so I would kind of get a list from you guys, what you were thinking, see if any of you wanted to participate, and then form it. So this is not, the chair can do this. We've done this before, twice before this way. This is not, it's just, I wanted to, rather than just announce it, I wanted it to be, I wanted to be open. I'm actually trying to be more open than normal. Normally, I would just appoint it. That's in the past, that's how it worked. In the past, but I appointed the committee and I didn't bring it to the board for their approval, I just did it. But I can do it this way too. And it's up to you. I'm comfortable either way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. But I couldn't maybe my connection dropped for a second, but what did you say how the public would know who's in this official committee?
I will inform you and at the next board meeting. First of all, I will work with each of you before we form it to make sure we kind of agree on who the players are. And it's going to be a small group, 5 to 7. That's number one. So once we kind of informally kind of agree on that, then second of all, I will make it public to the public who they are at the next board meeting. And then if there's any recommendations that would come to the board in terms of a public, in a public form, there'd be a written sort of, this is a recommendation.
Okay, so you'll handle that transparency part at the next meeting after.
Yep.
I'm assuming that you're going to plan to meet prior to the next meeting. That's what it sounds like.
No, I plan to pick the committee before next meeting, and the meeting would only be, I don't even know if I have a meeting. I think we have to decide who they are. And I need to do that. That's the first step. Whether I meet with them or not, I don't have a plan about that yet.
Okay.
To be honest.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. Thank you very much. That takes us to the staff updates. Sally, Emily, one of you?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sally Sadelman, manager of the Pittsburgh Land Bank. First, we wanted to share with the board and the public that we have published this week a request for proposals for quiet title services. We hope to bring before the board in the following months some law firms and also title companies that the land bank can bring under contract so that we are ready to hit the ground running as we plan to bring property into our inventory in the coming months. So we have a link here where you can access that RFP. It is on the URA's bidding platform. You can also, if you Google URA bidding platform, it'll get you there as well. So we ask that everyone share with their networks, and we're very excited to bring these very necessary services under contract so we can get moving.
Thank you.
Next, we also wanted to update the board on the land bank's progress with engaging with our CDCs in the treasurer sales process. So previously, we had the Pittsburgh Property Reserve. We've had an interim process where the URA has been working with the community development corporations to include requests in the treasurer sales. So we have completed in this year one request on behalf of CDCs to move property through the April sale. We have another deadline coming up for the, April and June, excuse me. And then we have deadlines coming up in the coming months for September and October. We've been able to make some great progress sharing a lot of updated tools with our CDCs to make it a lot easier to plan for what kind of property they'd like to request for affordable housing and other stabilization programs. And most importantly, we created a map that shows where tax delinquent and vacant property is to help guide our CDCs. So we've received some nice feedback on those tools, and we're really looking forward to continuing that engagement and keeping our CDCs informed and updated on the progress of property that they're waiting on through this public acquisition system.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, we wanted to provide an update on a sale that the board approved in December. We approved the sale of 6 bogs to the Mount Washington Community Development Corporation to house the Ecumenical Food Bank. And the Mount Washington CDC has provided to us, that's been shared with the board, a copy of a 99-year lease with the food bank, as well as their sources and uses and pro forma. And land bank staff, with the help and support of the URA staff, will be moving forward with a sales agreement in the coming month. All right, great. And I'll pause here if board members have any questions or comments.
No, great. All right, that takes us to our action items, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so if you go through, the first one is Lauren.
All right, yes, so we have 2 presenters here today. And before we turn the stage over here to the Urban Academy, we just wanted to introduce them and give some background. So today we are proposing to the board to approve a sale of the parcel in our land bank inventory, 243 Meadow. And we are proposing a sale to the Urban Academy so that they can expand their campus in the neighborhood of Larimer. And we are very excited to demonstrate how the land bank can bring flexibility and nimbleness to these types of small neighborhood scale development projects. And with that, I will turn it over to Chase at the Urban Academy.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you to Sally and Emily, who have really been a pleasure to work with. Any questions that we've had along the way, they've been very thorough in doing their due diligence and making sure that this is one of the best processes we've been through as it relates to real estate with a city or governmental municipality. So thank you, Sally and Emily, for representing the land bank well. The Urban Academy was founded in 1997 by the Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh, which is a national affiliate of the National Urban League, which is a civil rights organization that's existed for over 100 years. The mission of our school is to provide a superior education that offers our students an opportunity for academic excellence, strong leadership skills, and develops in them social values that allows them to ultimately go on to be constructive contributors to their communities and to the greater society. And over the past 25 years, we're looking forward to later this month, celebrating the 25th anniversary of our charter approval by the Pittsburgh Public School District. Our families have been demanding that we move into the 12th grade. The community of Larmer has really been a supporter and a partner and a collaborator in our growth thus far. And we are looking forward to growing a campus and a relationship in the Larmer community that really demonstrates that when a strong school is at the middle or the center of a community in need, that school can serve as a catalyst for revitalization for that needy community. And we are demonstrating that already with the work that we're doing in Larmer, but we're looking forward to this just being the start of the future and of what is to come for the Larmer community, the Urban Academy, and the families that we serve. So I'll turn it back over to anyone that has any questions for us, if that's appropriate, Mr. Chairman. But I, again, want to reiterate our gratitude to Sally and Emily for really making this a great introductory relationship to the PLB. Thank you.
Well, I just say, if any of you have not, please, you feel free. I'm sure Chase would welcome anybody who wants to do a site visit of that school and just the fantastic work they're doing with young people and the need for it. There is, I didn't mean to say this, but there is actually a affordable housing development strategy that has a national following that places a charter school inside new housing development. Although we did not do that exactly in that process, the result is the same, is that we have the new Larmer Choice community popping up, and we have a half functioning, one of the best, highest functioning charter schools in the region placed in that same community. And I think it has a tremendous impact on it. And so I thank you for your work. Any other questions about this? Hearing none, this is something we have to do to vote on. I need a motion to approve the disposition of the land to the Urban Academy.
So move.
Need a second? All those in favor,
Second.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Congratulations, it's approved. That takes us to the next initiative.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we're going to be hearing from Hazelwood Initiative. So the project that we just approved is a parcel that's already come into the land bank's inventory. In this case, again, speaking to that flexibility and nimbleness, we have a very exciting 3-unit affordable housing project. We feel that this is the perfect and appropriate scale for the land bank. We're excited to have this opportunity to show what we could do for nonprofits like Hazelwood Initiative to keep these kinds of projects moving forward, to make sure they can meet their tight funding deadlines. So in this case, we are what the board will be voting on is both an approval of a transfer from the URA, for the URA to convey the property to the land bank, and then we'll do a simultaneous closing. And so we're also asking for an approval of the sale from the land bank to Hazelwood Initiative. All right, and with that, I will turn over the floor to Mr. David Bruton.
Hello. I am honored to be here, grateful to be here, and I want to echo my appreciation for Sally and Emily's work because as some of you may recall when I last testified, this issue of timeliness is key, and it's really encouraging to see properties moving quickly. Hazelwood Initiative, the clock is ticking in Hazelwood because everyone knows development is headed our way and property values have tripled in the last 3 years. So our mission is development without displacement. And we see these units, new construction, infill housing, there they are on the screen, as a key to that strategy. It's really hard to do new construction in the city. The units are very expensive. So we're grateful that we have funding from the Federal Home Loan Bank. We are in very constructive conversations with the URA, and the PHFA is ready to entertain a proposal as well. If those two come through, we have full funding, and we will be able to sell these homes, making them affordable to families of 60% of the median or lower, payments of about $800 a month, which is in today's market less than you'd have to pay to rent them. Thank you for bringing this action before you, and I'm really encouraged that you're doing what you can to speed up a process. We hope to bring 6 or 7 more lots to you in the near future to continue this project.
Any other conversation or question? If not, I need a motion to approve the transfer from the land bank to the Hazelwood Initiative.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. Thank you very much. Congratulations. That takes us now to professional services.
Thank you, and I bring greetings from Councilman Lavelle if he hasn't joined us yet. He and I were at the beautiful homegoing service for his uncle John Lavelle. But thank you very much to everyone on the board.
Thank you very much. That takes us to our next order of business, which is professional services.
Yes, and quickly, Chairman, we are going to review for the public what the next steps are in these sales processes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And so now that we have approvals of these sales, then the next step in the land bank sales process is that we will be posting signage at all of these parcels. We will also post the notice of sale on our website. Residents and members of the public have 20 days to submit any concerns they have to the land bank. And if we receive more than 15, a petition with more than 15 concerns, the land bank will then hold an additional public meeting in the community and bring these projects back before the board for an additional vote. Otherwise, we have a 30-day period built into our policies and procedures before we can enter into that purchase and sales agreement, and then we can move into a closing. And we expect 243 Meadow to move through that process as outlined, as they're already in our inventory. But for the Hazelwood projects, the city is still working on quieting the title. So that process will be more extended and will happen over the course of the next few months. And we're hoping for a closing date in June or July of this year. Thank you very much.
Okay. That takes us to the professional services part of the agenda.
The next item we have for the board today is we are very excited to bring our ARPA funding under contract so that the land bank can begin to access it and use it for land acquisitions and quiet title services and stabilization. In order to access that funding, we need a contract in place with the city of Pittsburgh and the URA. So we'd like to request the board approve the land bank to enter into a contract with Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney to negotiate that contract on behalf of the land bank. And they have the expertise we need to understand land bank, URA, and city regulations, and get this contract in place quickly and efficiently so we can begin our work.
Any questions about that? If not, I need a motion to approve the professional services contract for the ARPA funding.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. It's approved. It takes us to the next order of business, which is the legislative updates. And so we have the tri-party agreement and MACTEL. So if you would, please go over those two things.
So first, we have an amendment to our existing tri-party agreement, both that has been before City Council. So the tri-party agreement is between the URA, the city of Pittsburgh, and the land bank, and just outlines our relationship. And our amendment specifically outlines a standardized transfer process to move property from the city to the land bank. And it does mirror the existing transfer process that the URA utilizes to transfer property. And so the next step in this process is that Councilmember Deb Gross will be scheduling a public hearing on this matter that we look forward to attending. After the hearing, this piece of legislation can return to the council table for another vote.
Okay. Next.
All right, MICDL. So this is legislation at the state level. And this legislation completes important changes to give the Pittsburgh Land Bank and the sheriff sale process to bring it closer to the improvements that the city of Philadelphia enjoys in their sheriff sale process. And this will make sure that we have an efficient process to be able to move quickly on accessing vacant and abandoned property that is in dire need of stabilization. And so Senator Wayne Fontana is circulating a co-sponsorship memo at the Senate level, and State Representative Emily Kincaid is circulating a co-sponsorship memo in the House. So we are very excited to see this legislation return in the state legislature and expected to move forward and pass later this year.
Any conversations or questions? If not, I've not seen any new public comment. If I missed something, is there anyone else who's come on afterwards that I've missed?
Yes, Chairman Burgess, I do believe, let me need to expand my screen here. I do believe Barbara Furman may be a public commenter.
Barbara? Barbara, you're here to give comment. I'll ask one more time. Barbara, are you here to give comment?
Hello, I'm sorry. I'm just here to listen.
All right,
Okay.
Thank you very much. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Seeing no public comment, that takes care of our agenda. I will now, first of all, I wish everybody, hopefully you've had a great holiday. Since last time we met, I've had a new grandson, so I am my first grandson, and so I'm a little still excited by that and enjoying that very much. And I think I was away I think I was aboard me when he was first born. So he's a month now, so we're grateful for the new addition into our family. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. We are adjourned. Bye, everyone.